in the list, we have singers, we have dancers, and we have dancing collected from different regions. And also we have speakers across the board from UN to local and international too. So with that, what I'll do is we'll start with this singing from Alan Ford. He's our Vietnamese origin, and he's a great singer. So go ahead, Mr. Ramrani ji. He's going to help us to load this video.
I've been alive forever, and I wrote the very first song. I put the words and the melodies together. I am music and I write this song. I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things. I write the songs that make the young girls cry. I write the songs, I write the songs. My home lies deep within you, and I've got my own place in your soul. Now when I look out through your eyes, I am young again, even though I'm very old. I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things. I write the songs that make the young girls cry. I write the songs, I write the songs. Oh, my music makes you dance and give the little spirit to take a chance. And I wrote some rock and roll so you can move. Music fills your heart, and there's a real fine place to start. It's for me, it's for you, it's for you, it's for me, it's the whole wide symphony. I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things. I write the songs that make the young girls cry. I write the songs, I write the songs. I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things. I write the songs that make the young girls cry. I write the songs, I write the songs. I am music and I write the I write the song. I hope you enjoy that song. That is one of my favorites. So if you do like it, press subscribe and share.
Thank you, Ellen. It was a beautiful song. Our next item is dance from Savitri Art Academy. And Savitri Art Academy director is Dr. Sindhuri Jaisinghe. She is internationally acclaimed Indian classical dancer and community supporter. So, Dr. Sindhuri, please introduce the dance.
Hello, namaskar. So y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now we are presenting a dance by Vinayini, the young, promising, talented young girl who is started performing from the age of 1. Her 1-year-old dance is on YouTube, where she got more than 23 million viewers. And Vinayini performed around the world. And this particular dance, she choreographed herself and she created the item. Vinayini and my other students, please everybody watch, enjoy. It's a light classical dance. And for our non-Indians, the little information, Indian classical dances are more than 2000 year old. So please watch, enjoy, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Sundariji, and thank you, Binaini. Binaini is dancing for us since she was 3 years old.
One year old. From the age of 1.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, 1 year old.
Yeah.
Now our next speaker is keynote speaker Rachel Bowen Pittman, and Mr. Ramesh Thali is going to introduce her. Ramesh Thali is a community worker, he is an engineer, and he does a lot of work for the community as well as for UNA USA Long Beach chapter and Global Peace Foundation Inc.
Thank you, Manoramaji, for the nice introduction. And so I want to welcome and give a brief introduction to Rachel Bowman Pittman. She has a lot of bio here, and I can take all of our time to introduce her, but I will try to be as brief as possible. Rachel serves as Executive Director of UNA USA, a grassroots movement of more than 20,000 Americans in over 200 chapters across the US. Rachel works to maximize UNA USA advocacy impact by guiding the strategic vision for our organization. She works closely with the UNA USA National Council and Affinity Group leadership to support a strong US-UN partnership. In June 2019, Rachel served as a UNA USA Senior Director of Membership and Programs. In this role, she managed UNA USA's national programs and events, including the annual Global Engagement Summit at UN headquarters, Global Leadership Summit at Washington, D.C., and UnDay events across the country. She also led a nationwide fundraising campaign to provide education to youth, and she served on multiple leadership teams for several professional associations that represented lawyers, surgeons, regulators, and engineers. Rachel strengthened the membership programs, directed rebranding initiatives, and secured agreements with national associations representing China, Korea, Argentina, India, Peru, Egypt, and Mexico. Her background is amazing, and she holds a BA in International Business from American University and an MBA in Marketing from Johns Hopkins University. I want to welcome Rachel Bowman Pittman. Rachel?
Thank you, Ramesh. I'm so honored to take part in this UnDay program, and thank you to the UNA Long Beach chapter leadership for inviting me to speak to you all today. And so I don't know if I'm on camera.
Yeah,
there we
now,
go.
Yes, now you are.
Yeah, so once again, I'm so grateful to be here today, and thank you all for having me, and I appreciate the Long Beach chapter leadership for inviting me to speak to you today. And of course, I wish I could be with you all in person, but we must recognize that we're still unfortunately facing the effects of a global pandemic. So I'm just happy to digitally connect with you and take a moment to celebrate the UN 76th anniversary. This is an opportune time for us to recognize just how essential the UN remains today and how we all play a part in creating a better future. In September, the 76th session of the UN General Assembly took place, bringing together world leaders, entrepreneurs, young activists, and other change makers to make commitments to address pressing global challenges. And this convening sounded the alarms for urgent action on a variety of issues, from tackling the COVID-19 pandemic and the climate emergency to responding to the worsening humanitarian crisis and severe food insecurity. And we all know one absolute truth. No one country can tackle these challenges alone. It's going to require a coordinated effort from all of us. Earlier this year, the Biden-Harris administration took office with a promise to renew American leadership at the UN and to once again assume our role on the global stage. Just as the UN's founding signaled the dawn of a new era, this moment in time also symbolized a new beginning for America's engagement in the UN. US Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield, said it best when she was nominated for the post. America is back. Multilateralism is back. Diplomacy is back. UnDay USA takes action very seriously in order to ensure that the priorities of Americans are shared and amplified to our lawmakers who make decisions about America's role on the global stage. That's why UnDay USA's core ask of our elected officials is always to ensure strong US leadership and full funding for the UN so that the UN can do what it does best. You have played a part in restoring and rebuilding a better partnership between the US and UN. Because of you, UNFPA once again has financial support from the US, making it possible for girls and women to have accessible, essential aid and services. Because of you, the US announced the restoration of $150 million to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, or UNRWA, a UN agency dedicated to supporting Palestinian refugees. Because of you, the US ran for and won a seat on the UN Human Rights Council for the 2022-2024 term. Because of you, the World Health Organization could count on Americans' leadership in the fight against COVID-19 after President Biden halted plans for America's withdrawal. Because of you, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and US Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry joined us live for the Global Engagement Summit to publicly announce America's rejoining of the Paris Climate Agreement, reaffirming our country's pledge to respond to the climate crisis. So these are just a few of the accomplishments you helped make possible this year. And these actions couldn't have come at a more critical time in our history. The UN is leading the international response to numerous urgent threats, many of which carry a severity the UN hasn't encountered since its founding. In fact, Secretary General Guterres had said that the pandemic is the greatest test since World War II. The pandemic has tilted our world on its axis, and it's threatened our blueprint for progress. It's reversed hard-won wins on all the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, exacerbating existing inequalities and serving as a catalyst for economic collapse and social disruption. We've lost decades of gains, and with only 8 years left until the deadline to meet the SDGs, this is a hard truth to acknowledge. This has proved to be a pivotal year for the world, one that is challenging us to find quick solutions to large, complex problems. So while it's true that we've re-engaged with the UN this year, we can't afford to be complacent. 19 months following the WHO's classification of COVID-19 as a pandemic, the world is still reeling from its impact. Since March 2020, almost 5 million people around the world have died. And while the vaccine rollout here in the US and in other parts of the world has largely been successful, inequitable distribution of vaccines threatens our ability to defeat the virus. As of last month, 80% of vaccines had gone to high-income countries, but only 2% of the people in low-income countries had received a single dose. COVID-19 has also spurred another looming pandemic, a global hunger crisis. According to the 2021 Global Report on Food Crisis, conflict, climate change, and COVID-19 are pushing millions into food insecurity. In fact, the number of people facing food insecurity and those in need of urgent humanitarian assistance reached a 5-year high in 2020, bringing attention to a very distressing trend. In August, the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released its latest report on the climate crisis. The key takeaway? Things are getting worse, a lot worse. In fact, Secretary General Guterres called the report a code red for humanity. Just recently, we saw the devastating impact of Hurricane Ida from New Orleans to New York. The impacts of climate change are rapidly intensifying and are felt in every region of the world. And we're running out of time to take meaningful action before some impacts become irreversible. And perhaps most recently, we've seen the alarming deterioration of humanitarian crises, most recently in Haiti and Afghanistan. A powerful earthquake in Haiti left millions in urgent need of essential aid and services. And in Afghanistan, the Taliban's rapid takeover has left the world gravely concerned for welfare of Afghans, especially girls and women. Crises like these sent a shockwave around the world, bringing to light just how necessary the UN's work is to mobilize to respond. I know what you're thinking. You're likely thinking that the weight of the world is heavy. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the challenges we're currently facing. You might be asking yourself, how can we overcome this? But in its 76 years, the UN has never once backed down from its promise to deliver a better world, and it never will. No matter the challenge, the UN is prepared to meet it. And yes, these are all complex and interconnected challenges, but I don't mention them to instill in you a sense of helplessness or dissuade you from taking action. Rather, I highlight them to do just the opposite, to encourage you to take action, because your action matters and it does make an impact. And you all understand this call to action. UNA USA members have been advocating for the UN's fundamental purpose before it even existed. President Truman referred to the signatories of the UN Charter in 1945 as the architects of the better world. But the truth is, we all are. And while we're all architects working together to create a blueprint for a better future, let's also be clear. A strong house can only stand with a solid foundation. As the largest network of UN advocates in the world, you play a vital role in keeping the foundation strong. Against the backdrop of COVID-19 restriction, you've prioritized programs, partnerships, and initiatives to protect and promote the life-saving work of the UN and its agencies at a critical time for the world. For implementing community projects, to driving progress on the SDGs, to meeting with your local officials and members of Congress, and everything in between. All of you are showing up and speaking up for the UN while supporting your community. Members from across the country recently participated in a training co-hosted by UNA USA and the World Food Program to learn more about the global hunger crisis, participate in advocacy and social media workshops, and equip themselves with knowledge to empower them as advocates for a zero hunger world. The UNA Minnesota chapter partnered with the City of St. Paul, the Mississippi River Pollution Initiative, and the UN Environment Program, not only to help to clean up plastic litter and other debris from the banks of the Mississippi River, but also to collect data to generate a plastic pollution map to help policymakers and citizens make smarter, more sustainable decisions. UNA Arizona State University, Howard University, and Los Angeles chapters came together to host a global advocate forum focused on equality, education, peace, and justice. The UNA Miami chapter collaborated with and contributed to a local project and unveiled a one-of-a-kind mural in the Miami area that highlights SDG 14, Life Below Water. This project serves as a great learning opportunity about not only the SDGs, but also local issues related to sustainability, and helps prompt meaningful action among community members. And these are just a handful of examples out of the many that represent how you strengthen the UN's foundation. And even beyond programs and partnerships, you understand the power of your voice, your ideas, your solutions. Earlier this year, UNA USA Youth Observer Cynthia Yu hosted a virtual listening tour to hear directly from young members about their hopes, concerns, and priorities for the future. The key findings: young people are concerned about inequality, about a lack of diverse voices in critical discussions, and inaction among global leaders. But one thing is clear: young people are taking it upon themselves to contribute to the world they want to see. In fact, a recent poll conducted by the Better World campaign found that the top two issues most important to young people are promoting human rights for all and slowing the impacts of climate change. They want global leaders to know that they're hardworking and want to make a difference. Young people are the greatest stakeholders in what happens today, and the UN is dedicated to delivering on its promise to build a better build a better world for future generations. That means not only listening to them and amplifying their voices, but also providing young people with a seat at decision-making tables. Recently, Secretary General Guterres shared his vision for the future, calling on more inclusive and effective multilateralism in a landmark report, Our Common Agenda. The only way forward is together. And members like you, whether you knew it or not, contributed significantly to this report. Last year, in recognition of the UN's 75th anniversary, many of you shared your thoughts during UN 75 consultations. Your feedback was sent to UN officials and greatly inspired the development of Our Common Agenda, and incorporates many of the themes that emerged during UN 75 consultations. So let me be clear, your voice matters. Your input is helping the UN to outline priorities in an ever-changing world, setting a clear path forward to deliver on its promise for a better future for everyone, everywhere. That is your impact. That is how you're contributing to the blueprint for the world to follow. Over the last 7 decades, the UN has resolved many complex and delicate issues, but the reality is new challenges will always be around the corner. But what gives us hope is that the UN is prepared to meet those challenges when they do arise. The COVID-19 pandemic proved to us all just how interconnected the world is, how a threat anywhere is a threat everywhere, and that the only way to address them is together. This time, we were united to defeat a shared but invisible enemy. And that's precisely what makes the UN so unique and essential. It is the only forum that brings together world leaders from 193 countries to address global threats and find shared solutions. There's no doubt about it. 76 years later, the UN remains as relevant and essential as it was at the time of its founding. It's clear that your advocacy does have an impact. And so it's only right that as our time together comes to a close, I invite you to take part in an urgent advocacy action right now. As you likely know, the UN has imposed an arbitrary cap on our payments to the UN peacekeeping for more than 20 years. As a result, the US is currently $1 billion in arrears to UN peacekeeping. Representative Sarah Jacobs, along with Representatives Castro and Bass, introduced a bill earlier this summer to lift this cap so that the US can pay its treaty obligated dues in full, a crucial step in restoring our credibility at the UN. It's time to pay what we promise. So if you have a cell phone near you, I ask that you take it out and text peace to 30644. That is peace, PEACE, to 30644 to urge your members of Congress to support the United States Commitment to Peacekeeping Act of 2021 to help ensure that the US can fulfill its financial obligations to the UN in the future. Once again, text peace to 30644, and I will put it in the chat soon. We cannot afford to rely only on grandiose ideas to meet present challenges. Our words must be followed by our actions. Now is the time to make plans, to map out our path forward, because creating a blueprint for a better future requires us all to work together to stay true to and build upon the vision that formed the UN 76 years ago. The world needs the UN, and the UN needs you. With your leadership and advocacy, the US can better help the UN so the UN can continue to help the world. Thank you, and thank you once again for having me today to celebrate the UN's anniversary with you.
Thank you, Rachel, for your inspiring speech. Yes, you are correct that due to COVID-19, the hunger increased all over the world, and to combat it, UNA USA Long Beach chapter jointly with Global Peace Foundation Inc. is organizing to donate and package 10,000 meals, which will be sent all over the world for needy children and family. And for all of that, we need all of your support. So please support us, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, our next program is Bharatnatyam dance, which will be introduced by Aarti Chopra. Aarti Chopra is a young, energetic girl who participate in different associations and try to do volunteer works for all different associations. So please welcome Aarti Chopra to introduce Bharatnatyam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manorma Gupta. And just to clarify, I will be introducing classical Kathak dance, which is a Kathak dance from North India. It is my pleasure today to be present at the UnDay celebration with UNA USA Long Beach chapter. I thank Dr. Manorma Sharma Gupta for this opportunity to give the youth a voice. I am a youth mentor who's creating a youth leadership program for all diverse young leaders from all backgrounds. And what we will be doing is incorporating our ancient Indian wisdom and teachings for modern day thriving for all of our younger generations, because as the Honorable Rachel Pittman from the UN in her speech, our next generations are at a moral imperative, a moral fork in the world, in the road, and we need to listen to their voices and we need to amplify them. What I will be bringing is performing artists who are there from around the world for peace. It is my pleasure to introduce classical Kathak dance from North India for unity, and it will be performed by Anvita Sharma and her students from Kathak Kala Academy here in Pasadena and Orange County. And we are highlighting how we will be bringing classical, traditional, and folk performing arts from India for the cause of global world peace for the sake of our younger generations. Please, it is my pleasure to introduce Anvita Sharma and her students classical Kathak dance for world peace and unity. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this wonderful Bharatanatyam dance. Our next speaker is our special guest, Professor Dr. Hans Kochler. And this is my pleasure to introduce him. Dr. Kochler is university professor Emeritus of Philosophy and former chairman of the Department of Philosophy at the University of Innsbruck, Austria. He is the founder and president of the International Progress Organization, an NGO in consultative status with the United Nations, coordinator of the Vienna Center for Global Dialogue, co-chair of the International Academy of Philosophy, and member of the Advisory Council of the International Movement for a Just World, Malaysia. Koestler is author of numerous articles and books on political, legal philosophy, the theory of international relations, and the United Nations conflict resolution, as well as issue of cultural hermetics and intercultural dialogue. He also serves as editor of the series Studies in International Relations and member of the editorial board of several journals, including Culture and Dialogue, Geopolitica, Indian Yearbook of International Law and Policy, the Political Science Journal of Lomonosov, Moscow State University. Koestler is the recipient of numerous honors and awards, such as honorary professorship and doctorate degree in education and humanities from universities in Europe and Asia, the Medal Apostle of International Understanding, India, the Honorary Medal of the International Peace Bureau of the Gussie Peace Prize. So please welcome Dr. Hans Koestler.
Thank you for the kind invitation, Dr. Gupta. Dear members of the United Nations Association of the United States and of the Global Peace Foundation, greetings and good afternoon from Europe. I speak to you today from Vienna, where the third headquarters of the United Nations is located. And I'm very pleased to address this gathering under the auspices of the Long Beach branch of UnDay USA in California, the birthplace of the United Nations. Commitment to diversity as basis of global peace was the message that the founders of the World Organization solemnly proclaimed in the preamble to the Charter of the United Nations. In the name of we, the peoples of the United Nations, they reaffirmed, quote, the equal rights of men and women and of nations large and small, end quote. The respect of diversity, implying equal recognition of each member state of the United Nations, is also embodied in the Charter's principle of sovereign equality. The unity of purpose among the members of the United Nations can only be achieved and preserved if they accept each other in all their diversity of ethnicity, of cultural traditions, and of political or economic systems. In 1945, after the cataclysm of World War II, this was one of the basic messages of the founders of the organization, namely, lasting, sustainable peace requires mutual acceptance of diversity. When the organization was founded in San Francisco, the number of member states was relatively small, namely 51, compared to today's membership of 193. Many peoples still lived under colonial rule or under the yoke of foreign domination. In the 21st century, the United Nations, as the world's largest grouping of sovereign states, has come to embody the diversity of humankind, including the multitudes of national interests, more than any other intergovernmental undertaking. This brings with it unique challenges as well as opportunities. Due to the rapid progress of globalization since the end of the Cold War, each people, each nation, and each cultural community has become much more aware of the differences between civilizations, cultures, value systems, and lifestyles, simply because of constant and inescapable global interconnectedness in all fields, whether political, social, or economic. The impact of communication, technology, and of the so-called virtual reality in its wake, including the new social media, which we are also using here, this impact cannot be underestimated in today's global village, which the world has become. The preservation of peace, a raison d'être of the United Nations, will depend on how the international community, how the member states deal with the ever more complex diversity of the world. In a most basic sense, only an order of peace embodies the unity of humankind. In view of the Charter's founding principle of sovereign equality of states, no country must jeopardize this unity by using the United Nations to impose its own system or lifestyle or ideology upon the rest of the world. To state it yet again, unity of purpose in the maintenance of global peace requires a recognition of diversity at all levels, of state and people, internationally as well as domestically. It also necessitates mechanisms for resolving differences on the basis of mutual respect. This is what the United Nations Charter is all about. In order for the UN to face the challenges of our global era, the composition of the organization's highest decision-making body, the Security Council, should reflect the increasing diversity of the international community. Upon its foundation in 1945, permanent membership in the Council corresponded with the balance of power among a relatively small number of states that was not yet fully representative of the peoples of the world, as I said initially. More than 75 years later, with almost all sovereign states having joined the UN, the geopolitical realities have changed. Vast areas of the globe, Africa, Latin America, South Asia, and Southeast Asia, are not represented at the level of permanent membership. To remain relevant in the emerging multipolar world, after almost half a century of a bipolar balance of power, which was followed by a brief period of unipolarity, to remain relevant and to retain its problem-solving capacity in the face of increasingly complex security challenges, it will be essential for the United Nations to adapt its charter and to update, so to speak, the list of permanent members. Because of the veto, reform will certainly be a gargantuan task, but inclusivity in terms of permanent membership will be indispensable to preserve the unity of purpose among all its members. Apart from the field of international security, diversity and inclusivity are of utmost importance also in the area of cultural identity. I would like to express the hope today that the role of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, comprising as of now 127 nations, including the United States, that the role of this organization or of this alliance will be strengthened in the face of increasing tensions along cultural and ideological lines at home and abroad. The threat of armed conflict emanating from alienation between cultures should not be underestimated. On this solemn occasion, may I also express the hope that the United States will rejoin the most important specialized agency of the United Nations in this field, namely UNESCO. And after what the initial speaker on behalf of UnDay USA has said, I'm optimistic in that regard. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, of which the United States was a founding member in 1946. That's the organization I mean, of which I hope that the United States will join it. Without active US participation, the international community's policies and programs for the preservation of cultural diversity at the global level will not ultimately be effective. I'm convinced that civil society organizations such as UnDay USA can play a decisive role in that regard. In conclusion, I wish the United Nations Association of the United States and the Global Peace Foundation further success in their noble mission in support of the UN in the creation of a just and peaceful world. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kosler, for such a nice, inspiring speech. And thanks for donation towards our 10,000 meals. We really appreciate your presence and your help.
You're welcome.
Our next dance will be African dance and drum performance, and that will be introduced by Susan Seeds. She is a volunteer and a peace follower and peace preacher. So please welcome Susan Seed. She will introduce African dance.
Hello, can you hear me? I don't know. Hi, Dr. Hans, that was right on. I loved when you said recognizing diversity at all levels. Every culture has something to bring to the table. And I've had the good fortune in my life to travel to different countries and live in them. I've lived in Thailand and have been to India almost 3 years with their various trips. And also China, I've lived in almost 3 years. I had the good fortune also to go to Uganda. I belong to a group that we fund projects all over the world. And we lived in a village for 3 weeks and happened to meet this tribal group that I think is doing phenomenal work. They're taking street kids and they're giving them a marketable skill. They're introducing them to the world of cultural arts through teaching them musical instruments, singing, poetry, and dance. It's just very heartwarming to see such a thing. And today, Ramesh and a few others wanted to show their good work. And I encourage people, I know you can read about other cultures, but make friends with people from other cultures. It enriches one's life so much, as most of you, I'm sure, here know. Yeah, I can't say enough about it. Like Mother Teresa says, peace begins with a smile. Behind every face is an incredible story. And people from other countries have made America great. I don't know why we don't all realize that more and do that heart-to-heart connection one by one. And, it's not an us by them. It's not the human race, it's the human family. We all belong to one another. We share this planet Earth. And instead of looking at our differences, we need more and more to join hands and look what we have in similarities. We all want good jobs, good family, meaningful work, and safety. And so let's all keep that focus. And I'm glad the UN and things Dr. Han's organization is doing, it gives me hope in a time like this. All right, I guess we can show this video.
Hello everyone, Muliro Sadat, Project Manager at Bamasaba Tapak, Uganda. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Ramesh, for granting us this great opportunity to join the rest of the world to celebrate or to mark World Peace Day. As Mama Teresa says, peace begins with a smile. We ensure peace by focusing on fulfilling our mission to rehabilitate impoverished communities through education and cultural art. Our culture music brings a smile to many faces, and singing songs that encourage peace in our homes, communities, and the world. We bring our beautiful language and culture, show it to the entire world. Mitigating youth and children who are victims of domestic violence, giving them self-confidence through our performances on several occasions. Supporting our children and youth attend school is our way, or one way, that they are exposed to great books of the world that preach peace and help them realize their dreams of being great musicians, doctors, lawyers, so on, thus creating job opportunities for self-sustainability. Mother Teresa also says, do small things with love. You can't help the entire world, but you can make a difference by building life skills with these children. Money from performances after this pandemic should help us with sustainability. The little that you give makes a big difference in the lives of these youths and children. Together, we ensure a better world for all.
Afrika, watoto wa baba moja, kweli Afrika, watoto wa Mungu moja, Afrika, watoto wa baba moja, kweli Afrika, watoto wa Mungu moja, tupendane sote, tuwe na umoja, tupendane sote, tuwe na umoja, Afrika, Afrika. Mimi kijana Afrika, kila siku ni machozi. Leo niende shuleni, kesho niko nyumbani. Vita vyatokea, sijui nitafanya nini, machozi.
It's your responsibility, my responsibility, their responsibility, our responsibility to ensure peace and a peaceful world for all.
Amani, amani, tupendane sote.
when we were our organization, Kaneho Compassion Coalition, we have a medical clinic in Uganda, and we were celebrating the 10th anniversary. There's 7 different villages that come to that clinic, and we had hired that performing group to perform for us that day. And that's how we all got to meet them and been communicating with them the last almost 3 years. And just now they were talking about the pandemic and how much it has hurt their cause and limited their funds. So in the future, we're going to be having a fundraising event for them as well. And again, thank you for your attention. And I know you're all doing good works, otherwise you wouldn't be here today. And I look forward to keep meeting people from other cultures. I swear it does something to the mindset. I feel so full and so rich by the amazing people, even people in tribal villages that have so little. It's amazing how they make things work and how happy a lot of them can be because of that community spirit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Susan, for bringing this African dance. Our next speaker is Dr. Tomoko Takahashi, and Mr. Ramesh Ramnani is going to introduce her. Ramesh is a senior software engineer at County of Los Angeles, owner RKR Computer Solution and community volunteers. And he is our technical officer for UNA USA Long Beach chapter.
Thank you, Manorama ji. Tomoko Takahashi currently serves as Vice President for Institutional Research and Assessment, Dean of the Graduate School, and Professor of Linguistics and Education at Soka University of America. Over the past 20 years at Soka, in various roles, including Provost Chief Academic Officer, Accreditation Liaison Officer, Dr. Takahashi has helped establish Soka as an emerging student-centered university founded on the Buddhist principles of peace, human rights, and the sanctity of life. Today, Soka is ranked among top national liberal art colleges among top 5 in California. As teacher, trainer, and innovative researcher, Dr. Takahashi has contributed to the field of language and intercultural education, linking diverse Eastern and Western cultures. A pro-life writer, she has published more than 20 books, including scholarly books in English and Japanese on language learning and teaching, cross-cultural communications, and sociologistics, 15 textbooks for Japanese learners of English, 8 of which have been translated into Chinese and Korean, and Japanese translations of Rosa Parks, My Story, Quiet Strength, and Dean Mr. Parks, Dr. Takahashi Minor entitled Samurai and Cotton, published in November 2011, was named the winner in the autobiography category of the 2012 Next Generation Indie Book Awards. Her friendship with Rosa Parks has been featured in newspapers and magazines published in Japan and the United States, as well as in documentary entitled Rosa Parks, Quite Revolutionary, by the BBC Radio. Dr. Takahashi received a BA in English and LHD HC from Alberta's Magnus College, and MA EDM and EDD in Applied Linguistics from Columbia University, and PhD in Translation Studies from Monash University in Australia. I present you Dr. Takahashi, please.
Thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you for having me. On this special day, I would like to talk about my friend and hero, Rosa Parks, to highlight the theme of our gathering today, unity in diversity. As a schoolgirl growing up in Japan, I read about Rosa Parks, the woman so widely celebrated and admired as the mother of the civil rights movement, never imagining that I would have the privilege of personally knowing her later in my life. I first met Mrs. Parks in 1992 when she visited Soka University in Calabasas, California. We had invited her to speak about the civil rights movement as part of the university's human rights lecture series. On campus, one of the Soka students asked Mrs. Parks what the most important lesson was that she had learned from her mother. Her answer was unforgettable. She said, "I learned the importance of education and to have a strong sense of dignity and self-respect, as well as to have a lot of respect for others." Since this wonderful encounter with her as a dear friend of Mrs. Parks and also the official translator of her books into Japanese, I made many other memories of her. In May of 1994, when Mrs. Parks was 81, the founder of our university, Mr. Daisaku Ikeda, invited her to Japan. Previously, she had not traveled beyond Canada and Mexico. Her decision to go to Japan showed her willingness to experience the unfamiliar. I accompanied her on this trip and saw for myself how she touched the hearts of Japanese people simply by being herself. While in Tokyo, Mrs. Parks received an honorary doctorate from our sister institution, Soka University, Japan. Toward the end of the award ceremony, the 4,000 students in attendance started singing, "We shall overcome," spontaneously. Many of them were crying. When people on the streets of Tokyo spotted Mrs. Parks, many flocked around and tried to tell her in Japanese and broken English about the admiration for her. As I watched these exchanges, I truly realized the power of the human heart to break the barriers of culture, race, and language. While traveling to Hakone, a small town near Tokyo, Mrs. Parks observed the Japanese mountain countryside and remarked, "This reminds me of Highlander." Remembering her autobiography that I have translated, I suddenly found myself transported back in time, sitting next to a 40-year-old Rosa Parks, learning about nonviolent resistance and civil rights activism at the Highlander Folk School in Tennessee. Later that evening, as we sat on the floor wearing Japanese kimonos and eating a traditional Japanese dinner, I reflected on Mrs. Parks' relaxed enjoyment with the people and customs of Japan. Her natural manner reminded me of her words at Soka University a few days before. That is, "I believe it is better to learn to respect our differences and find things that we have in common." In June 1999, at Mrs. Parks' request, I attended the Congressional Gold Medal Award ceremony in Washington, D.C., where she was honored for her civil rights contributions. As I watched Mrs. Parks being praised by President Clinton and members of the Congress, I was struck by her humility and calmness. It was clear that she did not regard herself as a national figure or as a celebrity, but rather as the symbolic representation for all those who had participated in the Montgomery bus boycott. After the celebration, I saw Mrs. Parks in person. She greeted me with a big smile. In that moment, I felt I was the most fortunate person on earth to have known, loved, and been loved by such a wonderful human being. I have so many other memories of her and learned so much from her. She was my friend and hero and will be in my heart forever. She was a special human being, and yet she was one of us. She was indeed the embodiment of unity in diversity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Takahashi, for sharing with us your experience with Ms. Rosa Parks. We really appreciate it. Thank you again. Now our next program is me, and Ramesh Thali will introduce.
So, sorry.
I believe I have to introduce Manorama ji. Yes. Dr. Manorama Gupta is physician advisory committee to California Assemblywoman Doris Allen, honorary member of Physicians Advisory Board of National Republican Congressional Committee, Washington, D.C., Physician of the Year Award 2003 by the National Republican Congressional Committee of Physicians Advisory Board, Pioneer Healthcare Reform by the National Republican Congressional Committee's Physician Advisory Board 2004, Ronald Reagan Gold Medal Award from the Republican Congressional Committee for year 2008. Her present position, founder and president of the Global Peace Foundation, Inc., president of the United Nations Association of the USA Long Beach chapter, commissioner of Health and Human Services of the City of Long Beach. She published book on teenage pregnancy and her second book, Teenage Pregnancy, Does It Matter?, coming soon. She is president and founder and has over 30 years experience of caring people in need. In addition to her exemplary work in the medical field, she has been involved in fundraising for homeless shelters, directed free health fairs, volunteered for churches, and has been a leader in several non-profit organizations and community and organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you Dr. Manorama Gupta.
Thank you, Ramesh, for such a wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you, invited guests, speakers, participants, and attendees to this United Nations Day celebration. As you know, UNA-USA is dedicated to the mission of educating, inspiring, and mobilizing Americans to support the principles and the ongoing vital work of the United Nations and its agencies. Our nationwide network is committed to strengthening the United Nations system, promoting constructive United States leadership in that system, and achieving the goals set by UNA. The theme for today's function is unity and in diversity. Diversity among us hardly needs an explanation and is apparent to all. We, the people, come from a vast variety of cultures, religions, beliefs, backgrounds, social customs, economic strata, political leanings, and many other characteristics that distinguish us from each other. The unity is what ties us together and comes from the common aspirations, hopes, goals, and dreams of all people. It is this unity that leads us to trust, bonding, cooperation, and coordination among people. That is what allows us to respect others' opinion. and live together peacefully, and is the basic idea underlying United Nations. The same idea is reflected in our celebration of United Nations Day as well. In today's program, you will find a diversity of speakers, musicians, dancers, youngsters, volunteers, civic leaders, and others who will present multicultural items, share their diverse perspective, and showcase the diversity of ways in which they express their confidence and hope for the unified goal of peace in the future. Today, it is my honor to welcome and thank all of our invited guests, guest speakers, and performers who are well known in the international and national communities. Our keynote speaker is Ms. Rachel Bowen Pittman, who is the Executive Secretary of UNO USA. Our special guest speaker is Dr. Professor Hans Koestler, who is the Chair of Political Philosophy at the University of Innsbruck in Austria and is also the founder and president of the International Progress Organization and a consultant to United Nations. Thank you very much for joining from Austria and your contribution to 10,000 meals donations fund. We appreciate your support. Dr. Tamako Takahashi, Vice President of Research and Assessment, Dean of Graduate School, Soka University, Dr. Robert Garcia, Mayor of Long Beach, Mr. Kim Cha Hout, Honorary Consul General of Cambodia in Long Beach, California, Ms. Elizabeth Yang, she is attorney and board member of the National Associations of Asian American Professional Association, and Mr. Anshuman Sinha, President of Southern California Thai Association. We thank all of you for taking time and inspiring us with your speeches. I want to thank three of my colleagues who came to support us. Barbara G. Muller, President of UNO USA Santa Barbara Chapter, Judith Harris, President of UNO USA Pasadena Chapter, and Bertil Lindblad, President of UNO USA Coachella Valley Chapter. I'm thankful to all of you for your support. I also want to thank Barry Simon, President of Southern California Chapter, who could not attend but helped in promoting the function. We have a number of international artists and performers in today's program whom I would like to recognize. They include the participants in the children's dance program from Africa, the dancers in the Spanish dance item, Bharatanatyam dance, student of Savitri Art Academy, and choreographer Ms. Vinayani Jaisinghe, Delina Pongsi, the performer of Leo dance, Stephen Day performing on the Indian musical instrument sarod, and the student speaker Sridarshini and Jasmine Shivkumar. As you know, producing a successful program like today's event requires a great deal of work. And I'm proud of our local chapter members who volunteered to shoulder this task. My special thanks goes to Ramesh Ramthali, who put a lot of work alongside me in organizing this event. He was assisted by Usha Rani from India in creating the event flyer. Gary Singh of NRI Press, who assisted in spreading the word about the event, and others who contributed efforts for this program include Ramesh Ramnani, our technical director, Harkishan Vasa, Alan Ford, R.T. Chopra, and Dr. Shimuduri Jaisinghe and Susan Seats. The name of other chapter members are listed in our event flyer. I'm thankful to all of them and all the participants for their hard work in making this program successful. I'm also thankful to audience for attending the function. Following this celebration on December 11th, the UNA USA Long Beach Chapter and Global Peace Foundation Inc. are jointly organizing a drive to package and donate 10,000 plus meals, which will be sent to all over the world for needy children and families. You can donate in support of this project on the website www.gpeacefoundation.org or www.unausalongbeach.org. Your generous donation for this project will help us achieve our objective. Let me finish with the quote. Our ability to teach unity in diversity will be the beauty and test of our civilization. Mahatma Gandhi. Thank you all and enjoy the program. Our next program is Spanish dance, and it will be introduced by Ramesh Thali.
Hi. You saw how the group in Africa, they adopted the performing arts as a tool to bring discipline and get them out of poverty, get them out of trouble in the streets. Similarly, right in our backyard in Burbank, the Spanish community is doing the similar thing. They use the Spanish dance, which is called Ballet Folklorica Mexico Azteca. So it's an ancient dance, beautiful dance. And what they do is they have form many groups and bring them, into one place and practice this art form. And they basically encourage the participation of the parents, kids, friends, everyone to, bring this commitment, self-discipline, and team spirit. So a common theme found in this foundation of the organization is communication. It is through this concept that all the relationships succeed and prosper, and that the show presented by Mexico Azteca have earned the group local acclaim as well as positive reputation that precedes them. A typical day for the dancers includes warm-up exercises, technical step training, composition, creative expression exercise, and most of important, all having fun with this. So that's one great way to implement or carry forward the ancient art forms, like you seeing in other Savitri Academy, and you will see Sargam LA is also doing that, and African dance they join. So it's a concept to bring everyone together. So one thing I found is the more ancient the traditions are, more global they are. That's a key I found. Whether I go to Japanese old tradition or I go to Russian old tradition or European, as I go older and older traditions, they kind of put the importance of unity, bringing them together. And those are the key factors which we bring along with these kind of ancient practices. So now I hope you'll enjoy this show from them. It is from Burbank, California.
Vaqueros y caporales, pongan el sentido alerta, que arriba del ojo de agua tengo una vaquilla muerta. Vaqueros y caporales, pongan el sentido alerta, que arriba del ojo de agua tengo una vaquilla muerta. Ay, la 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 la, que arriba del ojo de agua tengo una vaquilla muerta. Por ahí viene el caporal, que se vaya por la orilla, que en la puerta del corral tengo lista la vaquilla.
Pues que viene el toro, es el relajo, escóndete tras las blancas chatitas, que viene bravo y avéntame tu rebozo, mi vida, para botearla. Toro,
Our next program is message from UNA Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield. Please play her video.
Hello, everyone, and happy UN Day. 76 years ago today, the United States, joined by the United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China, ratified the United Nations Charter along with a majority of other signatories. We were determined to, as the UN Charter's opening words stated, save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, and live together in peace as good neighbors. This was a charter UNA USA helped create and ratify. Since then, there have been fewer large-scale conflicts than at any point in history. We have prevented nuclear war, enshrined human rights protections, provided life-saving humanitarian aid, and worked to improve the lives of people around the world. Through all of it, UNA USA was there. Now, with more than 20,000 members and 200 chapters, you continue to promote and protect the value of our diplomacy at the United Nations and help further our goals of advancing peace, prosperity, and security. Today, on UN Day, we pause to celebrate our collective achievements and consider how we can shape the UN to be a better version of itself. We must prepare ourselves to face some of the starkest challenges in UN history, from ending COVID-19 to combating climate change. I know UNA USA will be there, as you have before, to educate, inspire, and advocate. Please know that your unending support matters. We're counting on it as much now as ever. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Robert Garcia, Mayor of Long Beach, and Dr. Sukrit Mukherjee is going to introduce him. So Sukrit Mukherjee is our volunteer. He is working in several organizations and volunteering his time. So please welcome Sukrit Mukherjee.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. Myself, Dr. Sukrit Mukherjee. I'm the VP in advocacy for UN USA Long Beach chapter, and it will be an honor to introduce Dr. Robert Garcia. Mayor Dr. Garcia is focused on making the city of Long Beach a leader in education, economic development, public health, and climate protection. As a mayor, he has championed progressive education policy, launched an aggressive climate plan, supported workers by increasing wages, and fought to expand and protect the rights for women, immigrants, and the LGBT community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to present Dr. Robert Garcia. Dr. Robert Garcia, back to you.
Mr. Ramesh Thali, can you play that video?
Ramanaji, let's move to the next one, please.
Okay, so So the video.
I can play the video. I just have to go through the online. 1 minute, please.
Yes. Mr. Ramnani, can you play that?
Yes,
video?
I'll play. No problem. 1 minute.
Thank you. Right. So I guess the program is going so well so far, and I thank you, all of you, for attending from as far as Europe, and I thank all of your attendance, and also a special thank to our chapter president, Dr. Manorama Sharma Gupta.
Mr. Sukrit, I'm ready to play the video.
Today's event. So now we are ready
Yes.
for Dr. Garcia's speech.
Hey, it's Mayor Robert Garcia, and I just want to thank everyone involved with our Long Beach United Nations chapter. It's so great to be able to celebrate United Nations Day, but also really to celebrate our unity and diversity, which I know is such an important theme for all of us. Particularly right now, having global relationships, having really strong diplomacy across the world is really, really important. It's important not just to our country, it's important to Long Beach as well, which is so rooted in diversity. I always say one of the best things about our city is how many folks there are that are all different. Different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different ways of life, and that's what makes our country strong, but also our community here locally strong as well. So to everyone involved in the Long Beach United Nations Association, let's celebrate and continue to do this amazing work. Congratulations.
Next speaker is Mr. Kim Cha-Hout, who is an Honorary Consul General of Cambodia, and Harkishan Basa is going to introduce her. Harkishan Basa is our member for a long time for Global Peace Foundation, as well as UNA USA Long Beach chapter. He supports a lot of organizations and volunteer at different organizations.
Thank you, Manoramaji. It is my pleasure to introduce Honorary Consul General of Cambodia, King Cha-Hout. He has been in this position since 2012, so for about 9 years. And he, of course, does a lot of work to combine the cooperation between the USA and Cambodia. As you may know, Cambodia, surrounded by Singapore, Vietnam. Cambodia is a primarily Buddhism type of religion. Cambodia has about 17 million people. And trade relations between Cambodia and USA are continuing to increase, and there is a lot of that goes to Consulate General Office, which helps to promote all of that. And Mr. Kim Cha-Hout, he has a degree in dental school. I mean, he went to the dental medical school in Cambodia, and then he in Long Beach, he studied further in the business administration, operations management. And one of the most noble thing he's doing, which is amazing, is that in the rural Cambodia, every year, him and a few other people are working together to build one new library every year. Every year they are building one new library in rural part of Cambodia to promote education and to help children in those rural area. So my pleasure to have Mr. Kim Cha-Hout speak about what he does. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hello. My name is Kim Cha-Hout. I am the Honorary Consul General of Cambodia in California. It is a great honor to be a part of this United Nations Day celebration. And thank you to Dr. Manorama Gupta for the invitation to join this program. Today's topic is one of the most relevant topic, unity in diversity. I would like to share my view on this term of unity, diversity mean. The word unity, it means being one, and diversity means differences. Together mean collectively multiple type of thing as one. The best example of explaining this unity in diversity is in the state of California. It is the most diverse state with the different ethnicity. It has the different culture, different religion, different language, different custom, different food, and so on. Clubbing of these very and diverse things in one umbrella is a simulation of differences and suit so well as example of unity in diversity. Binding people of all religion and ethnicity is the bond of humanity, is one of the greatest characteristics that fit in the best as point of clubbing and differences together at one angle. Visit any office, any school, any market, or any institution in California, and you will see the bundle of traditional working next to each other. In conclusion, California is the best example, one that best parameter of being the most integrated, united, and perfect mix of the different culture and traditional flavor in which people live in with peace and harmony despite having multi-cultural difference. It is very heartening to see unity and in diversity around us, and I hope everyone enjoyed the program. Thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim Cha Howard. We really appreciate your presence and your support.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Our next program is Sarod playing by Stephen Day. Stephen Day is a Sarod musician, international peace activist, professional educator, and Hollywood music composer. Please play his video.
This music is best listened to in meditation, and the easiest way to meditate is through your heart. Desire to reach a higher state, go beyond your mind. If you have thoughts, just say, I forgive. Keep your attention on the top of your head and enjoy the music.
Our next speaker is Elizabeth Yang, and Mr. Harkishan Vasa is going to introduce her.
Ramesh Ramnani, prior to that, I'm going to talk about the 10,000 meals. So if you can project the slide about the 10,000 free meals.
Mr. Thali, can you please project the slide?
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw the slide, 10,000 meals donation.
Go ahead now.
Yeah, okay. Friends, you know, we all are very fortunate. We are all living a very happy life. We have a wonderful home to live in, lots of friends, never to worry about where our next meal is going to come from. And we all go to bed with a full stomach. But then our heart cries out to 800 million people. Once again, 800 million people in the world, they go hungry every night. That's 1 out of every 10 people go hungry every night. And it is our duty to help as much as we can to unfortunate people who do not have enough food to eat and to survive. So our organization has embarked upon a program second time to create funding for providing 10,000 free meals. This is a small drop in the bucket of 800 million people, but if you all can chip in and do something to help people, then more and more people will get benefit from that. So again, people would ask, you know, 10,000 meals, what does it, how much money do you need? Yeah, because of other support and other things that we are getting from people to help us with that project, all we need is just $5,000. That means even if you give $50, that helps feed 100 people. I mean, imagine that way, just eating dinner for 2 people at night will cost you more than $50. So here you can help 100 people to feed themselves by support from us. So please, if everyone here who is listening to this can contact 3 other people also to help out, and if everyone even contribute just $50 or whatever else they can decide to contribute, it will help us to reach our goal of $5,000 so we can feed 10,000 people. We want to do that in December. So urgently we need the money. And as you see on the slide, you can send the money either by Zelle using my cell phone number and my email, or you can mail the check to my address, or you can go online to our website of UNA USA Long Beach and help out. Next slide, please.
Yeah, it is in the next slide, Arupji.
And there is one more slide.
Yeah, this is the one.
About the people who are donated, and you know, there's one more slide. Yes. Okay. So we embarked upon this program just about 4 weeks ago, and in 4 weeks we had 13 people come forward, and we collected $1,600. Myself, Harkishan Vasa, Alan Ford, Dr. Manorama Gupta, Suresh Bhatti, Keval Kanda, Aparna Hande, Sukrit Mukherjee, Paimi Beverly, Nila Parikh, Radhika Patel, Surekha Modi, Rani Kusto, and Hans Kochler. So 13 people have already contributed. We have $1,600. We are still short $3,400. And in order to reach our goal, please tell your friends, tell your other people that you know, and let us get in the next 3 to 4 weeks, let us fill the gap and get full $5,000 so we can go ahead and start the program and get this organized to feed 10,000 people. Thank you so much for listening to this message. Very important to help out people in need, because we all are capable of supporting other people. Let us support other people. Thank you. Now, I would like to have you show the slide for Elizabeth Yang while I talk about Elizabeth Yang. So Elizabeth Yang is amazing. I mean, when you look at her photo and when you say, listen to her speak, her name is Young, but she looks young. So it's young is young. And in her young age, she has achieved a lot. Just at the age of 19, in 2.5 years, she went to UC Berkeley and finished her degree in engineering in just 2.5 years. It's amazing how fast she's finished learning everything. She's at the present time working as an attorney. She has her own law office, and they provide services in intellectual property law, business law, family law, estate planning. She's also fluent in Mandarin Chinese, and she not only is a very accomplished attorney, but she also is an excellent author. She has written a best-selling book, and her best-selling book is A Big Secret. And second book is A Stress-Free Divorce. She also specializes in divorce and family law. So we are very happy to welcome Elizabeth Young.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harkvasa, for the very kind introduction. And I wanted to also thank Dr. Manorama Gupta for inviting me here to speak today. She actually originally invited me a year ago for the 2020 event, which was postponed and rescheduled until today. I am here speaking on behalf of the National Association of Asian American Professionals, otherwise known as NAP, which I am a board member of. The NAP organization is the premier leadership organization for Asian and Asian American professionals in North America. We have over 30 chapters in the United States, in Canada, and also we are expanding to Asia as well. We have several thousand active members and a reach of more than 20,000 professionals currently. NAP was founded in 1982 and is a volunteer-run nonprofit. We are aiming to inspire, develop, and connect leaders across industries and communities through networking, educational events, trainings, community service programs, and lots of different events to celebrate Asian American excellence. Our values include leadership, developing, inspiring, connecting leaders, education, because life is a lifelong journey of learning, accountability, to honor commitments, to deliver value, and last but not least, diversity, embracing culture of inclusion and innovation, which fits in perfectly with today's theme, unity and diversity. As a divorce attorney and a lawyer in the local community, I've seen many devastations to the family, units, to the community during the last couple years. And it's more important than ever now to unify all of us together and stand together as one. No matter what our race is, or background is, or education, or gender, whatever role we come from, we got to stand together to support spreading peace, unity, love to all the different communities. There's a lot of conflicts and disputes in our communities, and we don't want to counter it by coming up with more conflicts and more battles, and more violence. We need to battle violence with love and with peace, and basically show them that it can be done a different way rather than counter it the same way that they're doing things. So I wanted to thank Dr. Gupta, thank the whole team here with the United Nations Association for putting on this annual event year after year and bringing on all the different organizations together to unify ourselves and stand together in support of the same vision. So thank you for the time, and it's been an honor watching the entire performance today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We really appreciate your support and our friendship for a long time. We saw each other a few times. So thank you very much. Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Anshuman Sinha. He's president of Southern California Thai Association. And Keval Khanda is going to introduce. Keval Khanda is a community volunteer. He's president of India's chairperson of India 75, and he's president of Gopio LA in the past, and he's the officer of UNA USA Long Beach chapter.
Thank you, Manorma ji, for the kind information. Ladies and gentlemen, as Manorma said, we've been involved in many community events. It is my honor and privilege to introduce a great man and a good friend of mine, Mr. Anshuman Sinha. He is a fine gentleman who commands great respect among his colleagues and friends. He is an entrepreneur and an angel investor. He is a president of TIES Southern California and a board member at the Thai SoCal Angels Fund. He is the co-founder and CEO of Startup Steroid, the platform to connect investors with the startup founders. As an angel investor, he looks after business plan, cash flow, core team, board of advisors, secure IP, quality investors, monetization models, USP, scalability, strong returns, growth, market, and board role. So, ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, Anshuman Sinha.
Thank you so much, Kevalji. Thank you so much, Manorma ji, for giving me the opportunity here today to speak on this great occasion. I was on mute and my video was off, but I was very much part of the event. I was listening to all the great speakers before me. It is really an honor today to be
Looks like we have some issue here.
The video got frozen.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's connection probably.
I believe Mr. Anushma, can you check your connection? Your video is frozen. We cannot hear you. If your video not working, you can just change it to the audio only.
Okay, so it's got disconnected.
Does anybody has his phone? Can call him.
So Manorama ji, we can move on to the next one. When he comes back, we will add him back.
Kevalji, do you have his phone number?
Yeah, I'll give a call. Hold on.
So we can play next video until the Kevalji get hold of him. Then we'll
yeah, I'm so sorry about it. I'm back.
Okay.
What happened here? Really apologize to all the audience and everybody here on the screen also. So I will jump into the unity and diversity, the paper that I prepared to speak on today. So unity and diversity is a concept which signifies unity among individuals who have certain differences amongst them. These differences can be on the basis of culture, language, ideology, religion, sect, class, ethnicity, just to name a few. The most important aspect of the diversity and unity is acknowledging and handling disparities that exist and implementing meaningful policies that affect changes. Examples are ensuring that we focus on inclusivity, we approach and solve problems from an equitable basis, make it a point to find talented and diverse people and put them into position of leadership, consider team progress in any aspect of holistic approach, and also diversity and inclusion can be successfully implemented by doing all those things. In the world of business, because I come from a business background, a new principle is being followed, and that principle is to think global and act locally. All the large companies have presence all over the world. The reason for using this principle by companies is different social and cultural traditions. This principle is certainly a victory for the concept of unity in diversity. Also, more and more companies are doing business in different regions of the world to get the talent or the product and services that they need. Unity and diversity is very useful for a diverse country like USA and India. Above all, the concept allows people of different religion, culture, caste to live together peacefully. The belief of unity in diversity certainly reduces the chance of riots and disturbances. India is a brilliant example of unity in diversity. In India, people of diverse religion, culture, caste, sects, etc. have been living together. Furthermore, they have been living together for many centuries. This certainly shows the intense tolerance and unity of the Indian people. Hence, India is a country which perfectly demonstrates unity and diversity. My final thoughts are we must believe in an equality of opportunity approach in achieving diversity and unity, and most of all have a united front in taking action towards it. Most importantly, grassroots organizations are the heart of achieving diversity, something like what Keval Kanda ji is doing and Manorma ji is doing, are heart of achieving diversity and unity. And as such, we need to support them as much as possible, be it volunteer hours, be it support by money, be it partnering with other groups like Thai SoCal, and come up with progressive plans and action that collectively we can take together. The younger generation is very important here, and the younger generation always lead the way for change. As long as they continue to do so, we can be on our way to diversity and unity. Unity in diversity is an integral part of ethics and morality. The concept is certainly essential for the future progress of human society. People must display faith in this concept. Above all, they must keep aside feelings of racism, discrimination, and oppression. Without unity and diversity, the demise of humanity will certainly happen. With that, I close my statement. Thank you so very much, Keval ji and Manorma ji, for giving me this opportunity to speak here today.
Thank you, Mr. Manji. We really appreciate your coming to our program and giving us this beautiful speech. I appreciate your help. Thank you. I'm sorry we are getting a little bit late, but I promise you it won't be too long because we have only 2-3 programs left now. Now the next program is Lao dance. Lao is a small island between Indonesia and China, and the performer is Delina Pongsi. She's a student at California State University, Fullerton, and studying public health. She did perform about 2-3 years ago, 2-3 times for our program. So let us welcome Delina Pongsi. Now, I have an honor to present some of my colleagues, and these are the chapter president, or three of them are present over here. Barbara Muller, she's president of UNA USA Santa Barbara chapter, and she's serving this UNA USA for Long Beach. Even her husband was dedicated to UNA USA. And I will ask Barbara to please come on the stage and introduce yourself and speak about 2 minutes. Thank you for attending our program.
Well, it's an honor to be here. I felt that what you're doing for Long Beach is really important. And when I heard Rachel this morning or this afternoon, and she started to talk about the United Nations and how important the United Nations is today, I realized that we have this global voice. And if the United Nations associations like yours in Long Beach begin to realize how important we are at the local level for the global voice, then we would attract members just by being who we are. We now have a new pin, and I don't know if you've gotten yours yet, Doctor. Have you gotten your new pin? They just came in the mail.
Yet.
Good.
So,
The reason I ask is because when you wear your pin, I wear this pin now because I just received it, and I wear my Global Peace pin. I belong to the Rotary E-Club of World Peace because I believe world peace is the only way we're going to have unity and diversity. I have worked for peace since I was 3 years old, and my grandfather said, who had immigrated from Hungary, "You're going to be a peacemaker someday." And I said, "Grandpa, I'm only 3 years old." And he said, "Look at all the years you'll have to be a peacemaker." And I thanked him for that. Long story short, I meet Robert Mueller, the Assistant Secretary General at the United Nations, and we fall in love and get married. He had a long history of working for peace because he was from Alsace-Lorraine. The Germans were shooting the French and the French were shooting the Germans, and they ate the same food. They were often cousins, and they had so much in common. But some company, political entity believed that power through violence was the way to go. And he remembers when he was a little boy singing and dancing in the street for the soldiers. And when he was about 5 years old, he said to his dad, "I'm going to be a peacemaker someday." And his dad said, "I feel sorry for you. There's no such thing as a peacemaker." Long story short, he wins an essay contest and gets the internship at the United Nations. And I fall in love with him and we get married. And that is the beginning of the way you work together as a couple, the way you work together for unity and diversity as a United Nations association. And it's just my honor to be present today. And I thank all of you who are here for your devotion to peace. And I did text and I told my assembly people, you get on the ball and you pay your dues. We need your dues at the United Nations. And I really look forward to all of you. I have just finished something. You know, I worked for peace all my life. And after my husband died, I started Peace Podcast. And if you are interested in some inspiration today, you can go to Peace Podcast on the App Store. And I have 81 peacemakers who will inspire you to give you the hope that we all need, because it's up to each of us to be the peace the world needs today. And I always say it begins with me and starts with the conversation. Thank you for asking me to say something. I really appreciate this.
Barbara, thank you very much. You are sharing the same thoughts which I have, because I'm a president and founder of Global Peace Foundation, Inc. And we spread peace not locally, but all over the world.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
The dancing that you had today shows the unification. Once you're at peace, the unity with heart, soul, and body. It's just beautiful. And you've done a marvelous job of putting together your first really wonderful UnDay conference. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again for your support. It means a lot to me. Our next speaker is Judith Harris. She's president of United Nations Associations of America, Pasadena chapter. And she's my mentor also. Whenever I call, she's willing to help me. So let us welcome Judith Harris, please.
I'm not sure she knew she was going to talk today, and I had a conversation with her, but I'm sure she'll get on if she can.
No, she was here. I saw her.
Mano, Judith is not going to speak. Let's move on to next one.
I will.
Oh, okay.
I'm here. Thank you. I would like to congratulate you, Dr. Gupta. You are doing something so wonderful. There was a chapter in Long Beach, which a lot of people don't know because it disbanded several years ago. It was a very powerful chapter, one of the strongest in Southern California for many, many years. When I joined UNA 20 years ago, Long Beach was one of the premier chapters. And just due to, I don't know what happened, but the chapter dissolved. And it was very sad and disappointing. And Dr. Gupta said that she wanted to start a Long Beach chapter. I was so happy. And I congratulate you and I thank you. This was a magnificent program. And this is your first one as a chapter. This was absolutely beautiful and represented the UN and UNA so beautifully. And there was diversity that was just magnificent. And I am so proud of you. It's not easy to start a new chapter. It is not easy. Even if there has been one in a community, you are starting from the very beginning. And what you have accomplished in such a short period of time, I thank you and I am so proud of you and I am so happy to be here today. I look forward to seeing what you're going to do next.
Thank you, Judith, and thank you, Barbara. As long as you two are with me, we will be very strong and successful. The third president is Mr. Bertil Lindblad. He's president of Coachella Valley UNA USA chapter. Is he here? Bertil?
I don't see him.
Maybe he left because we are getting a little late.
Yeah, let's move on to the next.
But I thanks all of you. Our next program is Young Youth Message, and Ramesh Thali will introduce that.
Okay, the next presenter speaker, we brought actually the two youth speakers to represent this time, and it's so important. One of when I was working in one of the art theater, one of the artistic directors said, take out all the things you are doing. The one you are engaged in giving to the next generation is the most important thing you're doing. It stuck to me like, wow, I never thought about that. Everything we learn is gone one day. Everything we know is gone. All the knowledge we maybe not even remember that. But when you pass it on to the next, it keeps on going. So that's the best thing I learned in my life lesson, to give back to the youth and engage them. And one of the student here, she's a very talented kid, and I call her like 3 yogi. That means she achieved 3 different forms, like art, music, and technology. And these are all the 3. It maps to your mind, body, and soul. And I want you to watch her speak next. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I am Sridhashani, and I'm going to be talking about the converging of unity and diversity. Let's make a better world. Start off, let's think about how diversity leads us. Think about a room of people with the same culture, same ethnicity, same tradition, all the same. They often tend to agree with each other or have an easier topic of discussion since it resonates with all of them. However, this similarities between them doesn't make for an easy team. Well, sure, in a team, you can have people agreeing all the time and executing one idea, but that idea isn't as effective as one you would come up with a group of diverse people. For instance, as we move into the next slide, we see how diversity in a group leads us to work harder. We want our voice to be heard. We want a reason to speak up. If you have people from different countries, they won't know what you know, and you have a much likely chance of having a unique idea compared to everyone else in your group in this situation. So you would want to work harder to bring out your culture and your specialties from your country. Next, we go on to creativity. So as we go from hard work often leads to effective creativity and design and inspiration. So we look at how these ideas are formed. If we take the group of people, let's take a single person who's working really hard, and they are often going to start off with their background to inform the people of their experience. And as someone tells you their background, you start to believe in their journey, which we'll get to later. But we hear their background. They're telling us their background because they know that it will help our experience as well. As we learn from other people's backgrounds, we get a new worldview. And sure, for some people who haven't felt this way, it's sure to happen in the near future if you're working with a diverse group of people. You cultivate your own unique worldview, and you get to build from your experience. If you were all from the same country, you would have, let's say, one or two experiences, and much of them could be similar. But people from different countries, you'll have a more likelihood to have different backgrounds, and you can learn from each other's experience, which all ties into working hard and coming with a unique platform. Next, we have perspective. So we went from hard work. The hard work made our creative process, and now that we have a person presenting it to us. And now let's talk about the audience. The person who has a perspective to what they're saying in this team that's trying to effectively work in a unified but diverse group of people. We have our perspective. So if I was to hear someone's background that I did not know about, it would make me appreciate their journey, as depending on the story and the work they put into it. And once they tell me their story, I often think about my story. Like, if they have a story, then I must have one too. So it makes me to think about mine, working hard and everything that ties into being the best version of ourselves. And a lot of people want to embrace their culture. They want to show off what they know, and what they know is where they come from. For instance, let's take the Olympics. You go to the competition to represent the best version of your country. So if you're in a team of diverse people, you would want to portray the best version of your country being the best version of yourself. Because often those Olympic players, they are like training 24/7, and they're very obedient. And they are doing this because they're a diverse people. Now we come to tolerance. So tolerance is often an extra that you get from all of this. When you're listening to someone's journey, but let's say you don't necessarily agree with them on a topic, you can often tell that you're thinking about how to reply to them. You're thinking about how could I say this in a way that could not be offensive or that could appreciate them in a way. And when we're talking like this, we have a sense in our brain to pause and make sure that no one's feelings are hurt. You can see the speech of brothers and sisters from Saint Vivekananda. For people who might not know who Saint Vivekananda is, he came to Chicago like a long time back, and he started off a speech about unity, starting by saying that everyone was his brother and sister, even though he came from a totally different country. His speech is often referred to and alluded to till this day as the way he put it made everyone feel like they were one person, although they come from different places. In addition, this feeling of togetherness, although you're different, makes for internal peace and it avoids ignorance. So let us think about unified diversity to build a stronger community as brothers and sisters. So before I end off in a complete note, Ramesh uncle told me that I should talk about some of my interests and how I've been participating in the many events that he's put up. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to participate in many of them. So my interests are dance, music, and art. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sridarshini. Now our second youth message is from Jasmine Shivkumar, and Aarti Chopra is going to introduce her. Aarti, keep it short, please.
Thank you, Dr. Manorma Sharma. Once again, it is my pleasure to bring the next leaders of tomorrow and to bring them in front of you today to showcase their talents and most of all, their most important message. It is my honor to present to you a budding leader who has already accomplished so much in her own right. Her name is Jasmine Shivkumar. She's a freshman, 9th grader in West Covina, and she has a very important message to share with you all. This is very timely for UnDay because just about a month ago, the 2021 UN Youth Priorities Report came out. It is a 29-page document that highlights all the concerns of the youth of the world, and they compiled it into a Youth Priorities Report. Jasmine Shivkumar today will be presenting a summary of that report, along with what the youth findings were and what does the youth want. Without further ado, I present to you the 2021 UN Youth Priorities Report summary by Jasmine Shivkumar.
Thank you, Ms. Aarti, Mr. Tully, and Dr. Manorma for this honor to speak on UnDay and share a summary of the UN Youth Priorities Report with you all on the critical theme of unity and diversity. Franklin D. Roosevelt once stated, "We cannot always build a future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future." Amplifying voices of children and teenagers gives us a different perspective to change the way humans live and thrive in our rapidly changing modern world. Our UN youth leaders collected information in 2021 on how to better enable a society that empowers our younger generations. There were 3 main findings. 1, young people are concerned about inequity. 2, diverse voices are missing from the discussion and decision-making tables. And 3, young people want to implement solutions. In the first point, inequity will be defined as inequality and unfairness, which by definition lacks diversity and the ability to unite people at the same level. Diversity is defined as including a variety of social and ethnic backgrounds, gender, orientation, abilities, education levels, etc. Truthfully speaking, I'm not one to speak on the topic of inequity. With highly earning, college-educated parents and a comfortable life with access to all the possible resources I can use to be successful, it's safe to say that I was not born into a chain of insufficiency or poverty. In spite of this, I know many that are far smarter than me, far more ambitious than me, and far more deserving of a voice, yet don't have the opportunities to reach the same caliber of life I will. These people with the potential to change and positively impact our world, but lack the chance to do it, are the very epitome of inequity, a problem that hinders millions. In fact, other youth feel the same way, according to the UNA's 2021 Youth Priorities Report, stating that, in light of recent events that have brought centuries of systemic racism and inequality to many people's attention, SDG 10, reducing inequalities, was also a commonly cited SDG. Moreover, young people cited SDG 10 as an important objective to ensure that all Americans have equal access to healthcare. Inequity doesn't just come into the form of education, but it also affects other sectors of life, such as health, politics, and income. For example, according to NCBI's report on the state of health disparities in the US, statistics pointed that infants born to African American mothers had the highest percentage and rate of preterm singleton births at 11.11%, while Asian or Pacific Islander women had the lowest at 6.8%. That indicates that out of 500 African American babies, more than 55 of them would be premature. In addition, NCBI also reported that from 2011 to 2014, Hispanic children and adolescents ages 2 to 19 had the highest prevalence of obesity in the United States at 21.9%, whereas Asians had the lowest of 8.6%. This can be a result of the widespread income insufficiency among US's Hispanic population, leading to them resorting to school lunches or fast food. In fact, data by Northwestern pointed that students who eat school lunch are more likely to be overweight than their classmates who brown bag their lunch. All in all, these disparities point to inequity amongst minorities in the United States and all around the world. On another note, many argue that diverse voices are missing from the table. And as an Indian American high school student, I can attest to this, not out of personal experience, but out of taking a simple look at our presidential history, current Congress, and legislative leaders. Don't get me wrong, these people deserve their spots in leadership. But when taking a closer look, don't we all wonder, where are the others? The others who grew up translating legal documents to their parents who didn't understand English and visited their relatives from their home country every 2 years? Fortunately, things have changed and evolved since then. Now we're at an all-time high, with 23% of Congress being Black, Hispanic, Asian/Pacific Islander, or Native American. In addition, women now account for 27% of America's national legislature across both chambers, with 120 of them currently serving in the House. Despite these reassuring statistics, on a general level, diversity is more of a rare and complementary occurrence than it is considered a supplementary aspect of society. For example, 78% of employees who responded to a HBR study said they work at organizations or companies that lack diversity in leadership positions. This lack of diversity hampers innovation and prohibits members of minority groups from being recognized for their contributions to the workforce. The third and final finding in the UNA report states that young people want to implement solutions. And as a relatively young person, I definitely agree with this. I think by taking and implementing our opinions into consideration, we can improve the lifestyle of millions and the outcome of our future. With such a modernized generation that grew up around technology and efficiency, it's safe to say that we know our ways around this world and we have the ability to help. All you have to do is increase the volume. Thank you.
Jasmine, for your beautiful speech. I encourage all of you young children, young students, and attendees to join UNA USA Long Beach chapter, and I will make sure your voice will be heard locally and internationally and nationally. So I invite all of you to join, because young people are very important to give the young voice. Your strength will make us strong, and it will help the world, not only locally, but around the world. Your voice and your opinions will count. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Our next performance is from Sargam LA, and Ramesh Thali is going to introduce.
Okay. So hope you guys enjoyed the whole of our program today. One of the best thing was we are able to experience all the different cultures, in in 2 hours. We went around the world, and I want to showcase this last item is from Thousand Oaks, and the singer is Atira Sujit, and she will sing different languages in a one medley. So hope you'll enjoy that, and thank you all for staying this long. We had a little bit 30 minutes late.
हवा के झुमके आज मौसमों से रूठ गए, गुलों की शोखी आज भंवरे आके लूट गए। बदल रही है आज जिंदगी की चाल जरा, जिसे बहाने क्यों न मैं भी दिल को हाल जरा सवार लूं, सवार लूं, सवार लूं, हाय सवार लूं। La 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 la. La 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 la. തുമ്പിവാ തുമ്പക്കുടത്തി തുഞ്ചത്തായൂഞ്ഞാലിടാം, തുമ്പിവാ തുമ്പക്കുടത്തി തുഞ്ചത്തായൂഞ്ഞാലിടാം. ആകാശ പൊന്നായ മിലകലയായത്തിൽ തൊട്ടേ വരാം, ആകാശ പൊന്നായ മിലകലയായത്തിൽ തൊട്ടേ വരാം. തുമ്പിവാ തുമ്പക്കുടത്തി തുഞ്ചത്തായൂഞ്ഞാലിടാം, തുമ്പിവാ തുമ്പക്കുടത്തി തുഞ്ചത്തായൂഞ്ഞാലിടാം. Heart beats fast, colors and promises. How to be brave? How can I love when I'm afraid to fall? But watching you stand alone, all of my doubts suddenly goes away somehow. One step closer. I have died every day waiting for you, darling, don't be afraid. I have loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more. Stand still, beauty in all she is. I'll be brave, I'll not let anything take away what's being in front of me. Every breath, every hour has come to this. One step closer. I have died every day waiting for you, darling, don't be afraid. I have loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more. All along I believed I would find you. Time has brought heart to me. I have loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more.
Thank you, Athiras Sujit. I'm really impressed and encouraged to see all these youths' energy and talent, and I invite all of you to come and join with me for USA UNA Long Beach chapter. Bring your friends. When you become member, this membership is free for you if you are under 25. And all other people, please come and join our hands. Let us make this UNA USA strong together. We need young blood, young voice, and young ideas but we don't have to forget the mature people because they do have experience and their ideas are mature too. So let us join all together and make this world peaceful and strong. I am planning to make Long Beach as a peace city. So please join in spreading peace all over the world and locally. I thank all of you for attending the program, all the speakers, all the participants, and all the committee members and audience who worked so hard to make this program such a successful program. Without you, we could not have done anything. Without taking too much time, because we are already late, thanks again, and I appreciate all of you. So good evening, everybody.
Okay, good evening.
Thank you, Manorama ji, for the opportunity to help you from Sargam LA and my group in India. And I want to thank Ramesh Ramnani for helping always. He's there behind the scenes doing the tech jobs. And all others who helped me correct, like Hark Wasa, correcting last minute mistakes, catching, all this helps. It's a good teamwork we did. Thank you so much I was very excited to be part of this.
Our team
Hope
is
we will do more
wonderful,
of this.
and that's what all Ramesh Ramnani, Ramesh Thali, Har Kisan Vasa, Keval Kanda, and R.P. Chopra, Sindhuri Jaisinghe, all of you did wonderful, and Ellen Ford, you did wonderful job. Without you, I could not have done anything. We have all the other members of the organizing committee who helped us too, and their names are in the flyer. So
Thank you.
if I forgot anybody, please come and tell. I know all you people are here. Aisha Neela Parikh, Arvind Patel, Ila Mehta, and Anjan Patel, plus all the speakers, all my friends, Sukrit Mukherjee, Dr. Tomoko Takahashi, Barbara Muller, Nalini Ben, Rani,
Radhika
Dr.
Patel.
Senk and Tiffany Shamani Jaisinghe, Vidya Murthy, all of you. If I forget, because I know there are seven over here.
Helped us to spread the word.
Yes, but please join hand together, make us strong, and spread the word of peace. We can make this world peaceful and successful with all the young people's support. Thanks again.
Thank
I
you.
have one last thing, Manorama ji. Everyone, please go to unausalongbeach.org, and we do have a button to donate and help us raise the 10,000 meals. That is our target next one, and we will be probably doing some other events joint from that. Keep a
They are organizing
track of